Bill Gates is now telling everyone that we must start eating synthetic beef. This is a part of this whole climate change thing. It's a part of his recommendations for how we can reduce emissions and all of this other mess. So let's get into this story. But before I do, just a quick reminder to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and the best thing you can do is to share this video and tell people how crazy Bill Gates is by trying to push this stuff down our throats. So let's get into this story. This was all about him talking about lab-grown meats, and the biggest section of all of this is where he's talking about how he's going to even make this work. And he says, so no, I don't think the poorest 80 countries will be eating synthetic meat. So already right off the bat, he's talking about the fact that us richer countries should be the ones to basically bear this burden. Now, Bill Gates doesn't have to worry about this. He's rich, right? So let's get into a little bit more of what he's talking about here. He says, I do think all rich countries should move to 100% synthetic beef. You can get used to the taste difference, and the claim is they're going to make it taste even better over time. Look, I don't like claims, okay? Claims don't mean 100%. Doesn't mean anything. It's just, yeah, we can probably make it taste a lot better. Just add a bunch of salt in it maybe and, cover it all up, right? Then he says, eventually that green premium is modest enough that you can sort of change the behavior of people or use regulation to totally shift the demand. This is what's scary. This is what scares me the most in all of this, because what he's talking about is the use of regulation. Because there's always going to be this green premium. In other words, there's always going to be this thing where if you want that healthier or synthetic, whatever option it is, it's going to cost you 5 times the price, right? It's going to be so much more expensive. And he's basically saying, well, okay, yeah, it's going to be expensive, but, maybe it'll go down over time. And if it doesn't, what we're going to do is we're going to put in and totally shift the demand by putting in regulations, things that maybe keep you from being able to even get real beef. This is like some weird dystopian future. I don't know how many people are gamers that watch these videos, but if you play the game Cyberpunk, you see this all over the game where it'll advertise for hamburgers and things and it'll say 20% real beef. And it's like, that's normal. And getting real food is like only for the rich elites. People like Bill Gates. Those are the only people that get to enjoy the real beef because they'll sit there and say, oh, look at me. I'm enjoying this real meat, my real vegetables and all of this stuff, but everyone else has to suffer. We have to suffer. And that's what sucks about these types of ideas. It doesn't affect people like Bill Gates. It affects us. That's why we don't want this to happen. So he goes on and says, so for meat in the middle income and above countries, I do think it's possible, but it's one of those ones where, wow, you have to track it every year and see, and the politics are challenging. Of course the politics are challenging, because most people aren't going to fall for this type of stuff. This is just really scary, and it's insane that they're even talking about doing something like this. Now, what are the benefits? Let's say we switch to all of this and do everything Bill Gates says. He's saying in terms of livestock, it's very difficult. There are all these things where they feed them different food. Like there's this one compound that gives you a 20% reduction in methane emissions. That's what we're talking about here. That's it. And he goes on to say, but sadly, those bacteria in their digestive systems that produce methane are a necessary part of breaking down the grass. And so I don't know if there will be some natural approach there. I'm afraid the synthetic protein alternatives like plant-based burgers will be required for at least the beef thing, he said. So basically what we're talking about here is that this isn't going to be that big of a difference. This isn't going to save the world. And this is the problem with people like this. They want to call conservatives science deniers. But the fact is that we're just looking at this and saying, hey, us doing this won't make a big enough difference when no other country does. Like the biggest polluters are China. But you'll never see the day where Bill Gates or any of these crazy climate change people are actually going to China and telling them that they need to get their act together. That's never going to happen. And so this is what is so insane about this story is that it's even a topic of discussion. This will not take place, like no matter what. I hope it doesn't. And there's no point for people like you and me to suffer the consequences of regulations and not being able to even find real beef while paying more money for the food that we could have gotten for so much cheaper, while Bill Gates gets to sit in his ivory tower and enjoy being rich and being able to eat whatever he wants. If he gets that craving for real beef, he's going to get it, but not us. So tell me what you think down in the comments. Do you think this is a bad idea? Obviously it is, but let me know what you think. With that being said, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.